Hello and welcome back to part two of Michael Robinson on Pass the Torch. My name is Naja Desa Van Diest, and actually, as this specific episode is airing live to you and available to you, I will be in person visiting Michael at his studio. It kind of just worked out that way. After Michael and I shot this episode, we continued chatting off camera and discovered that he and my brother are just 15-minute walk away from each other, and I had already scheduled a trip out to go visit my brother as he is graduating, and so this just kind of worked out that I was actually able to coordinate and visit Michael's studio in person. So as this episode is airing, I will be there recording with his permission some, behind the scenes of his studio. So be sure to look out for Pass the Torch Jewelers on Instagram. I'll post all that content on there. And then, thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoy the rest of this conversation. Here it is. If you were to start your career over today, where would you and how would you start?
Honestly, I'm quite happy with everything I have done. Occasionally, if I'm being completely honest and raw, I get a little frustrated at myself because I came up through a very commercial practical. Once I had done a whole bunch of repairs, I mainly focused on making people's engagement rings for them. I did that maybe for 20 years. Engagement rings are very practical. Like you need to think about durability. Number one, rings take a lot of abuse anyway, but like an engagement ring pretty well, and especially in New Zealand, just gets put on and left on 24/7. Doesn't matter if the woman's rock climbing or going to the gym or whatever, the engagement ring is being left on, and which I don't recommend, but that tends to be what people do with them. So it's very practical. I was very thinking about like what's going to be catchy, what's going to be strong, what's, as I said, gonna pull fabric, what's gonna like just so many practical things I had to think of and be totally very practical in my designs and thinking. And nowadays I don't have to be quite like that because I'm making more occasional pieces and pieces that honestly might not even ever be worn. But I still tend to struggle with being suffocated a little bit by thinking about like, is this going to be comfortable to wear? Is this going to be practical? And it's like, but yeah, you can think about it, but you can't let it like strangle. I can't let it strangle my creativity anymore because my pieces aren't being worn 24/7. I wish I was more creative from a younger age. Would be the only thing I wish I could have changed. If I could have been more of an artist from a beginning rather than trying to fit in and be a jeweler from the beginning, that would be my. I wouldn't change it, but I just wish maybe sometimes a little bit I could change that.
Yeah.
But
And
otherwise,
you
I'm
and I
happy.
have, that's wonderful. Yeah, you and I have talked about how I'm kind of just getting started.
Hmm.
And if you were me, and the thing is, like, I lack some of the technical skill to then go, because I feel like I have a ton of ideas, but I don't have the means to get from the ideas to the final
Hmm.
product yet. If you were in my shoes and you were starting out from ground zero, where would you go and what would you do?
The first thing I'd do, this might be long, sorry. The first thing I would do is tell you not to get frustrated with that feeling. Try to embrace it and enjoy that feeling of not knowing what to do. Number one, when you do know what to do, that for me, that's when things stop becoming fun and it starts becoming work. Once you know what to do, then it's just work. When you don't know what to do, there's the exploration there, the trying something, the journey of like learning. Embrace the feeling of not knowing what to do. That means there's fun learning ahead. Don't get frustrated by it. When you know what to do, then it's just work from then on. So that would be my first thing. Change your brain thinking. Don't get frustrated. Enjoy that feeling. Um, Secondly, like be patient with yourself. We all suck in the beginning at whatever we try to do. You could look at the person you most admire, um, and be just awed by their skill and think that it seems like they came down from like an alien spaceship with some like ultimate skill of being able to do whatever they want. It's just not true. They sucked. They sucked probably harder than you feel you suck in the beginning. So be patient on your upon yourself. Um, and again, enjoy the journey. Be patient on yourself, and just don't be in a rush to like get somewhere. You're never going to get somewhere until we die. And then you're in the final destination. You're always going to have this feeling of hunger to want to do better and do more. I still feel it now. You need to like take a chill pill, take a deep breath, and just realize like this hunger is going to be inside me. This hunger is what's going to make me great, and sit back and enjoy the ride.
I definitely do that. I've been in those exact shoes that you were just describing, and
Yeah,
I've had a mentor be like, I wish I could show you my first pieces.
yeah.
It was actually Brady. It was, I want to say it was
Oh,
Brady.
okay.
He was like,
I
I
think
want to show you my first pieces because you're good. Like just keep going.
yeah. I think if I can remember correctly, I'm pretty sure the very first piece I made, I think I was about 8 years old, and it was a silver peace symbol pendant. And I forgot to put the middle stem on the peace symbol. So like it had this and that, but that piece didn't flow all the way through. So it was like some weird kind of like three triangles in a circle, and the
The
lines were all
Mercedes
crooked.
Benz.
Yeah,
That's the
basically, yeah,
Mercedes
that's it.
Benz.
That's what I made, but I was trying to make a peace symbol. And like I probably broke like 300 saw blades and my forearms were burning. Yeah, we all suck. And it was the same with my drawing. I was always drawing, so that became a little bit more natural to me. But I was very stiff in my drawing for ages, and things used to take me forever to draw. I used to do it, but it used to take me forever because I was so stiff and mechanical kind of in my drawings. And I used to look at these fashion renderings of like models and like dresses with like everything was out of proportion. There were tiny little waists and long legs, and it was just so expressive and quick. And I was just like, I love these, how expressive it is. It's not technical. There's no ruler or anything involved. It's just like it makes perfect sense, but it's so expressive. And I wanted my sketches to be more like that and less like chicken scratchy sort of thing. And honestly, that took a long while to get the um the casualness and the movement in my sketches. I'm there now. It takes time. We all suck in the beginning. To come back to that, we all suck.
What do you think is the differentiator between a good jeweler and a great jeweler?
I think it would come down to how much you love it. Um, it's not easy. There's a lot of pain mentally and physically. There's a lot of sacrifice. So you've got to really love what you do. There's going to be like setbacks. There's going to be, again, I don't really work for clients now, but there's going to be like, you've worked in retail, there's going to be difficult clients. There's going to be people that are trying to break you down. There's going to be people getting attention that you don't feel like they deserve attention. When you learn that they've paid for that attention, it makes things easier. But there's going to be things that frustrate you, so you're going to need to love what you do. And I think it's that love that lets you survive being a jeweler, and it's what ultimately makes you a great jeweler. Um, if somebody was to ask me, like, I mean, I'm sure somebody wouldn't ask me why you think your pieces are better than somebody else's, and I don't think they necessarily are, but I know that I love what I do more than anybody else. And I think that's what makes, in my view, that's what makes people great. Just really loving what you do.
I think it shows. I think it shows in your pieces because they just feel so creative and, like you said, special. There's so much packed into your pieces, but it still has balance. And I think that's the artistry.
Yeah, the balance actually is one of my most fun things. Like I love making mismatched earrings, but having them totally balanced because there's the same negative space, even though they're totally like I made a phoenix and a dragon. totally different forms, totally different shapes, but I made sure that there was the same amount of red and yellow in both pieces. I made sure that there was the same amount of empty space versus like solid space, and just getting the finding balance in things that aren't balanced is kind of like a game of chess, and I just love that.
You've leaned into the juxtaposition. You also had a set of earrings that are clouds and sunshine that were
Yeah,
worn
rain
by
or
Karlie
shine.
Kloss.
Yeah, I love that. I struggle with earrings. I hate making the same thing twice. And obviously, with earrings, you have to make the same thing twice. Sometimes you have to make them a mirror image, but for the most part, you're making them twice. So if I can make mismatched earrings, I will, just so I don't have to make the same thing over again. Because
You
once
should
you've
make
made
that your
one of it,
signature
yeah, yeah,
going
I
forward.
probably will. I will. From now on, I will. I'm not making matched earrings ever again.
That's awesome.
You mentioned Carly Kloss. I had no idea who she was. To be honest with you, it's like somebody said, "This is a really big deal." I was like, "Why? Who is it?"
I have to bring that up because I'm a Taylor Swift fan. I know
Oh,
it's
okay. I know
very
Taylor
cliche for my
Swift.
demographic.
I do know Taylor Swift. But how is she tied in with Taylor Swift?
Oh, let's not go there.
Okay. I won't ask.
They may or may not have been a couple at some point.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, that's nice. Okay. Learn more about Taylor Swift. You should do that sooner. Quite often on Instagram, I do like as I'm drawing, sometimes I'll get on live and I'll do like ask me a question. And like I know it's not good to generalize people, but I tend to like I feel I get a lot of question from young people that are impatient. Like how do you get they don't ask it, but what I'm hearing is like how do you get famous? How do you get big sales? How do you like do this and do that? And I feel like they're asking in terms of like it's quick and easy. Um, so, but also quite often I get the sense that like their motives are maybe a little bit skewed or a little bit not going to get them to where they want them to be. So quite often I'll say, and I'm sure you're already past this point, but I'll say to like young people, sit down with a piece of paper and a pencil. Now it has to be a physical piece of paper and a genuine pencil. Like notes in your phone don't count. And sit down and write what you want. Like, what do you want? Do you want like fame? Do you want like Instagram likes? Do you want to just make something beautiful? Do you like researching things? Do you like drawing? Because like I feel like people think that because they like jewelry, they have to make it. If you write down this list, and making things that are on the list, then you shouldn't be making jewelry. Like, be a jewelry writer, or be a jewelry designer, or sell jewelry, or like be a museum curator. You don't necessarily have to make jewelry just because you like it. Um, so I guess the first piece of advice would be just figure out what it is you like and figure out exactly what it is you want. Because when you figure out what you want, then you can come up with a plan to get there. But like if you're just running somewhere without really knowing where you want to run to, you're kind of going to get a little bit lost along the journey and probably get a little frustrated with yourself. Um, Once you've figured out what it is you want, then it comes back to the other advice that I've already given, like just have patience on yourself, and be hungry, stay hungry.
My goal for this year is to almost live in a state of delusion and talk about the future of my career in an almost delusional way.
You're at an advantage than I was because you talk to people. I didn't talk, I don't talk to people. I'm getting a little bit better at it now. The last few years I've started talking about my work a little bit more, but like I didn't speak, I had no outside input. Not because I didn't want, not because it wasn't available. It's just like I guess I was a little awkward and didn't want it. So like you're probably at an advantage because you're getting all these insights and guidance, and even just by speaking to people, figuring it out what it is you like. I kind of the way my brain worked, I just figured it out along the way. So I think talking to people isn't so delusional. I think it's probably a really, really great thing to do.
Well, I have really enjoyed what you have been willing to share. I know it's an out of comfort zone experience for you, but when you do the Instagram lives, and very often you'll do like a ask me a question
Mm.
kind of thing, I just think you're incredibly entertaining. You're very fun and sarcastic in the best way, and I think you should give yourself
Questions
more
are great.
credit.
Oh, thank you. Questions are great. I do the ask me a question because then I don't have to think about what to say. Somebody will just ask me a question and then the words will come out. I don't have to think. It makes things a little bit easier for me. With the advent of technologies, I don't know whether it's true or not, but people are talking about the loss of many different skills along different things, and even like art classes and things like that in schools kind of disappearing. I think it's more and more important that we do talk about things that are important in creativity and the doing.
I love that. And, you know, I, in my workshop, listen to Taylor Swift. But what do you listen to in your workshop?
Most people would probably hate it. I listen to like what I used to listen to in high school. All I listen to is like 90s rap music. That's it.
That's
Um,
great. I love
it used
that
to make
too. I
me
love
it,
90s rock too.
really. I just got Nas tickets, so I'll be going to see Nas later on. He's coming to town. Um, Oh, it used to make me laugh a lot when I was younger. I always used to look, I don't know if I still do, but I used to look reasonably young for my age.
You do.
So I'd be in the workshop making like a $200,000 diamond ring for like a rich lady when I was like about 19 or 20, blasting like gangster rap or something like that. And I'd be like sitting there thinking, if only, and that was before I was like, anybody knew what I looked like and I wasn't customer facing. And I used to chuckle to myself because it's like, if only this woman knew what I was listening to whilst I was making like a 200, $300,000 diamond ring. It just used to make me laugh. But I still listen. I get a lot of inspiration from 90s rap music, not so much from the lyrics or what they have to say. It's the confidence and the swagger and the bravado. I am so not that guy. I'm getting better, but my default setting is a little like meek and timid and insecure. So just to like feel the swagger and confidence of like their lyrics and their voice and what they have to say, just as like, and it's the same with graffiti. I'm kind of not so much now, but I used to be into graffiti quite a bit when I was a teenager and doing that sort of thing. And the confidence of like just like I can sit at my bench, work on something at a microscope all day. I can stand up at the end of the day and you can't even visibly see with your naked eye the detail that it is I've been concentrating on for like 8 hours. But like in graffiti, one bold gesture of like your hand movement and you can like cover the wall in color. And it's just that confidence and the swagger and the bravado and I guess the gestural motion of it that gives me confidence to like share and put my shapes and forms out there. So, sorry, I listen to 90s rap music when I'm working.
Lean into it. I
Yeah,
love
no, I love it.
that.
I do love
And
it.
I think that that can be, you can have the super surprising, playlist, and then you can also have the very cliche.
Yeah.
Like the other thing I listen to a lot is Brazilian bossa nova jazz
Oh, wow.
on on repeat, and I feel like, looking at me, that wouldn't necessarily be assumed. It would be more assumed on the Taylor Swift side. But
Maybe I
just a
should listen to
lot of
Taylor.
Latin jazz.
Maybe I'll listen to Taylor Swift this afternoon when I get back to work.
And I'll listen to 90s rap.
Cool. Deal.
We'll swap.
Yeah.
I love that. I have a fun question for you. If you could create a piece for anyone in history, dead or alive, who would it be and why and what?
Oh, wow. That is fun, but it's also really daunting. Um, I mean, I've made things for the most special people in my life. So probably the most special person in my life that isn't like my immediate family and my partner um, was a guy called Daniel Brush, who used to make jewelry sometimes. He was more an artist, but he did used to make jewelry also. And he passed away, I think, like maybe a couple of years ago now. Um, but before he passed away, I was working on a project that I'm still working on now. And it's a little quirky and quite funny, the project. And when I was telling him about this that I was making, it just made him laugh the most like beautiful, like uncontrollable laugh that I had ever heard. He's quite a serious artistic dude. Um, and the thought that I could put in his hand the finished piece would make me incredibly happy because he said he couldn't wait to like be a part and see the thing. So it'd be a piece for Daniel.
Made him smile and laugh.
Yeah, actually related to that, I the 1909 hardened lathe that's back there was actually in his workshop. It's his. Um, and I've been making some vessels out of his wife let me come into his workshop and take a bunch of like metal that was just laying around. Um, so I've been making some vessels out of it, like little containers and boxes. And on the bottom of each one that I make, I engrave a little message to him. So the like I said, his work is in like the Met and different museums around the world. So on the first one I made, on the bottom I engraved, "This could have been a masterpiece," because this lump of metal had been sitting in his workshop maybe for like 40 years, and he'd picked up all these other lumps of metal around it. So like if he had have picked up this piece, it literally could have been a masterpiece. This the second vessel I made on the bottom, I engraved "This could have been no, I engraved "This could have been a masterpiece" also. This next one, I'm engraving a pattern on it that he did in some of his work, and so I already know the message I'm going to engrave on the bottom there. It's I'm engraving like this sort of like pattern on there that's going to look like it's sort of steel, and then it's had a big stone on the top. But I'm gonna engrave something like I just needed to walk in your path this once. I wanted to see the same landscapes you saw. I'll take my own journey from now on, sort of thing. So just some sort of message like that, continuing the message and dialogue with him that I can't have now in a phone call. Yeah,
He
sorry. So
really touched
yeah,
you as an
he
artist.
did massively. Well, like I said, I, I I don't speak to people. It's very seldom I let somebody in. He had just the most beautiful mind, and he was an older guy. He had already been through everything I had been through, uh, and he was an artist rather than a jeweler. But he made jewelry sometimes. But yeah, his it was the first time I met somebody that sort of thought about things in a similar way I do, and that things meant as much as they do to me. Um, I had never really met anybody quite as dedicated. Like for the first 40 years of my life, I was a jewelry making monk. Like I just had no social life. I did nothing. I spoke to nobody apart from my immediate family because I was working with them in the jewelry business. Um, so like to meet somebody else that had a similar sort of dedication and had been down the same journey and shared the same joys and frustrations and just given a similar sort of thing. Yeah, it really did, really, really did touch me. Yeah, I can't speak about it too much because I will get emotional.
Well, this is so special because you're really allowing us to get to know you, and thank
Yeah,
you for the honor of trusting me to share your story. And I think I'm just so fascinated by, your work ethic and your approach and just how well-rounded you are as an artist and how creatively just playful you are. And
Thanks.
I'm just wondering if there is anything about you that hasn't kind of been picked up in this interview that you think we should know about you.
Sorry, just to go back quickly, it was when Daniel passed away when I decided I needed to take on a couple of mentorees, I guess, which is when I mentioned on social media that I'd be willing to talk to people for the first time ever. I figured um, being able to speak to Daniel. I mean, I've had a very supportive family my entire life, so that was great. I don't want to diminish what my family has been there for me, but being able to talk to Daniel, I felt like I was really, really fortunate to be able to speak to him. I was obviously extremely far down along my career, but I realized how lucky I was. So when he passed away, I figured I should at least try to maybe be that for somebody else, or at least, yeah, try to maybe touch somebody a little bit the same way that he was able to affect the way I think. Um, what don't people know about me? I'm a pretty open book. I have to be careful because um, I am a very open book when I do get talking. I don't tend to have a filter. Um, I'm just a I guess what I would say in terms of trying to give value to people listening, maybe younger people listening. I'm just a regular guy. I'm nothing special. I'm just a regular guy that really loves what they do. Um, and from the point of view in terms of trying to give value to say that like anybody can do what I do if you love what you're doing and you're dedicated and you do it. y- That's it. So I guess what I would say is I'm not that special. That's what I'd like maybe for younger people to know.
I think you are extraordinary. I think you have put the work in and you have developed your craft in such a loving way. And it's a joy to witness. So thank you for sharing your art with the world. How can we find it? How can we follow your art? Where can we support you?
Probably Instagram is my. Sorry, I said that funny. I was thinking about it. Instagram is my major outlet. I love getting on there, mainly in the stories. You know, the feed seems so permanent and so like something special, but I love getting on the stories and being a little playful and sharing my personality because I know it's going to disappear in 24 hours. Um, I would say if somebody's wanting to find out more, head to Instagram. Um, I have this desire to share more. Um, I'm doing writing more. I'm gonna put out some little self-published little magazines and things like that. I bought like the stapler. My problem is I turned the simplest things into such like I've got all this writing written that I want to share with people. I don't want to just type it and print it out on a computer because that doesn't seem authentic to me. I want it to be in my own handwriting, but my handwriting maybe isn't so clear and that's going to take forever. I collect vintage typewriters, so I figure I can type it out, but that takes time and I'd rather be making something. So like I turn the most simplest things into complicated and it doesn't happen. But sorry, to circle back, I'll be sharing more as I go along, but right now Instagram's probably the best bet. Why did
And your
I turned a simple answer into something long and complicated.
I think your intention and your natural approach to everything you put out is to elevate it, right? So to take something that could be super simple and just type it out on a computer and send it out into the world.
This
But your
feels cold.
natural, yeah, your
Yeah.
natural inclination is to elevate everything you do. And that is quite a legacy.
Mm. Actually, that brings me back, sorry, brings me back to Daniel. He had this beautiful saying, and it was strangely enough, it was something that I had kind of thought in a slightly different way. Daniel was very quick to explain, so I'll go with his. But his saying was he would only sell works to people that came to his studio and visited him in person. And his saying was warm hand to warm hand, which I just think is so beautiful. Like it's coming from the warm hand of the creator and coming to the warm hand of the custodian that's going to love it and take care of it for the rest of the journey. Um, and I think it's just like each and everything we do is just like the opportunity. What I do is like the opportunity to say, like, I was here. I guess it's the same to like graffiti and putting I was here on the wall. Like, if I do something, it's going to be of me, by me. It's going to have been in my hand, and like printing something on a computer and having it all polished. That's not me. Like, I want for somebody to know that it was of me, it's special to me, and now like I hope that it's special to you, and you can take it and do what you want with it.
Do you have a particular way that you, for lack of better term, like tag your jewelry?
I used to use like a Hallmark punch with like my little name on it. Now I don't do that. Now I engrave everything. Again, I want for it to be mine. Um, Like, imagine if you bought a canvas from your favorite artist and like they had just stamped it with like a corporate stamp and down in the bottom corner. Like, no, you want to see the expressive, cool little signature in the bottom. So now I just sign things. I guess one of my default settings is like, what would a traditional artist do? Meaning a paint on canvas type artist. Um, yeah. So yeah, no, just my name. Sorry, I was going to go down another tangent, but just my name, but engraved.
No, go ahead. We're all
Well,
here for the
I'm
tangents.
in this process at the moment where David Michael, the company name, is because I have an identical twin brother called David, and I'm the Michael half. So David Michael is my brother David, and Michael, as I said, we're identical twins. Um, for the last 4 years now, it's just been me. And my brother's still alive and well, and everything's fine there, but it's just me now. So, like, David Michael is the company name, but at the same time, I'm not a company, it's just me. So, in terms of like, what do I sign things? I still am signing them DM, but I have this slight conundrum, I guess, at the moment where like I'm signing things a company name. I really don't feel like a company. I'm a single person making things that I want to make. I'm something closer to an artist rather than a company. So why am I signing the pieces with a company corporate name when I'm not a company, I'm not a corporate? So, but then I don't want to change David Michael because I love my brother very much and I love the history of it. Yeah.
Well, I think even just explaining that helps the audience really understand you are Michael Robinson. You are the one, who's creating the work. And then there's also this, larger backstory of how it was a family affair for a while. And now
Yeah.
you've really stepped out and are pursuing it on your own. And that is also to be celebrated.
I was smiling and grinning a little bit there. On my stationery and paperwork, I've got like Michael Robinson, and then in brackets underneath, I've got not David, because everybody just thinks like David Michael. Every single email I get is like, Dear David, and like I'll sign off like, thanks a lot, take care, Michael, and it's like, thanks, David. It's just like people think David Michael is one person, and I'm a um, yeah, it just made me smile there for a minute.
I understand. Twins run in my family. I am not personally a twin, but
Oh,
my
okay.
great grandmother was a twin. My grandmother had twin brothers. My grandmother gave birth to twins, which was my mom
Hmm.
and her twin sister. And my mom's twin sister has
Oh,
triplets.
wow.
And then my husband's mom is also a twin.
Oh,
So
okay.
I
Wow.
understand the
Yeah,
dynamics
coming
of
into.
like.
It's funny when I was working in my dad's retail store, my brother and I, as a younger person, I used to we everything was handmade and one of a kind, and I would sort of joke to clients sometimes when I did speak to a client, I'd say everything in the store is one of a kind except for me because I'm an identical twin. There's like two of me, but everything else is one of a kind.
That's wonderful. Well, you are certainly one of a kind. I'll have to disagree with you there. You have just been such a joy to connect with. Thank you for your time. I know you're a very busy man, but
No,
this has
thanks a
been
lot.
such a treat. And I'm just so grateful, and I hope that we can connect for years to come.
Thanks. This would be good. Great talking to you.
That wraps up my conversation with Michael Robinson. Again, you can find him at David Michael Jewels. You can follow me on Instagram at Pass the Torch Jewelers. I would love to interact with you, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps me keep this little passion project of mine alive. If you would like to nominate someone for me to interview moving forward, there is a Google form in my Instagram bio where you can fill that out, and I look and review every single form that comes through there. So if you want to get in contact with me and connect at any capacity, I'm there and available. Again, thank you so much for listening wherever you are in the world. I looked at the statistics a couple days ago and realized that there are like 30 countries listening to this podcast, which is wild and such a privilege. So thank you for trusting me with your stories, and thank you for trusting me to have these conversations. It is truly an honor. So we'll catch you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.